And we are back. It is NFL Draft Day. My name is Quentin Crisco. I am joined by Nick DeMeo. Nick, are you excited for the draft?
I
How are you
am.
doing this evening?
I am. I don't know why I feel anxious. I have no reason to feel anxious. They're gonna do what they want to do, but I'm just like, I I know you know that I am vehemently against them trading up for a running back, and it seems like where there's smoke, there's fire, and that just seems to be like the story is them trading. Um, so yeah, I'm waiting with bated breath.
Nick, why don't you walk us through a little bit? You wrote an article
I did.
late last night that just is titled "Don't Do It, Ryan Poles."
Exactly.
Can you give us a quick synopsis of that article and kind of
Sure.
what you're talking about in it?
Okay, so basically, I think there's a misconception, especially with other Bears fans like myself. I love Ashton Jeanty. I think he's going to be an awesome football player. I just don't want the Bears trading up. And I'm in the camp that they have 3 top 50 picks. It's not a very deep draft when it comes to blue chip prospects. And Jeanty is one of those prospects. But for me, I think the Bears could come away with 2 starting caliber linemen and a really good running back if they hold on to their picks. I mean, if Jeanty falls to 10, I'm all for it. And when you look at the value of the contract he'd sign, it would slot him in when it comes to guarantees like top 5 for his position right out of the gate. Which is when you're constructing a roster, all you hear about is rookie contract. You try to take advantage of the cheaper deal before they have to sign their second contract. So I certainly wouldn't mind the Bears drafting Jeanty. If he falls to 10, I just don't want him. I don't want him trading up. I lived through too many Brian Pace trade ups to. I guess I have like Pace PTSD, like Pace traumatic stress disorder or something, because they never seem to work out for him. So the Ravens are a great example. I think of a team that just lets the draft fall to them, and they get guys like Kyle Hamilton out of it. They never seem to be really. I'm all for aggression, but I also think the Bears are in a unique spot with the capital they have to kind of really bolster an already really good offseason. So that was sort of my thesis statement, I guess. I like Jeanty. I think I'd be super excited if they drafted him. I just don't want them to trade. It's up 5 spots.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be cheaper than what it's taken in the past to move up so much in the top 5. But I've seen it floated around the Bears first, their second, which is 41, and for the Jags for 10 or for 5, and I think their 4th round pick. And who knows? Everybody's an analyst too at this part. Everybody on Twitter has an inside source, so you have to take everything with a massive grain of salt.
Now, that's something I want to touch on a little more because I've been sitting here for the last week. It's been nothing but just noise.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all this is going to be a crazy first round. All this crazy stuff is coming. I feel like I couldn't go back and verify this. I wanted to at some point today, but I didn't get the chance. I feel like a few years ago, there was a class like this that was considered to be like more middling.
Right.
And there was so much noise going into the first round. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be nuts. There's going to be trades all over.
Right.
Because
Right.
every team was trying to stir the pot, right?
Mhm.
Was calling every other team to find out what they could move up, how that would cost, how they could move down, because no one liked where they were really
Right.
in the draft. I can't help but wonder if that's the same thing that's
I get the
happening here, where
Yeah.
everyone has a bunch of ideas about how they'd like to move, but that might just end up in no one moves because it's like nothing ever formulates the way that it needs to be perfectly set up.
Yeah, like the NFL does such a great job like manufacturing drama for this stuff, and there's been 0 trades, which I read it's like the longest, or it's been the longest in a long time that there's been no trades in like heading into the draft for, I don't know, a long time, like 20 years or something like that. So I feel like they're just trying to, like you said, stir the pot to keep people interested. Because I just read a Schefter tweet. He was saying, when assessing how the top 10 picks tonight will unfold, one well-placed source said, expect explosives. And it's like, okay, like,
Yeah.
which is such a like arbitrary way, you know, explosives as in like a lot of action, or explosives in like surprises and nothing happens, or, you know, so it's hedging bets. People always like kind of talk out of both sides of their mouth to be like, well, I predicted this would happen. And then if it doesn't happen, they're like, well, I also sort of laid the groundwork for in case this blows up in my face to cover myself. So
yeah, it's
I,
something. And
dude,
I just dropped in the comments for anyone watching the link to our big board, our homepage.
yeah,
I'm going to be using it throughout this show. I'm going to pull it up on the screen here as soon as I kind of get situated in how to I'm trying to get it to pin it on the YouTube page. So I'm just trying to figure that out, and then as soon as that gets done, I will pull it up. Here we go.
hats off to
Okay.
all the scouts
In
too,
the
man.
message.
That is quite an undertaking, especially you and really, I mean, it's amazing the amount of content that's packed in there for something that, you know, a lot of people would pay money for on other sites, and we offer it for free just to kind of
Yeah.
familiarize yourself. And especially if you're Bears fans, it's great because one of the
I mean,
reasons I like doing it is you can kind of look through your navy and burnt orange glasses and kind of be like, you know, you've heard so much about Ashton Jeanty, but how is he a fit in what Ben Johnson wants to do? And you know, I think there's a consensus that he's really good, but how does he fit within, you know, what Ben Johnson wants to do? So
yeah. I mean, I think that there's a well, first of all, to your point, I mean, it's easy to put all this work in when it's your baby. You know,
yeah,
when it's your like your project, you've planned it, you've taken it from step one, like it's yours. You know,
right.
but it's nothing without you guys, right?
Well,
Like I can't do it all on my own, even though it's, you know, I'm trying to lead the charge with it. I need you guys putting in the work, writing the reports, making the videos, and you guys do a great job of that. So I'm
well,
so appreciative to the whole team for, you know, making it happen, because
yeah.
it's an outstanding project here. This is linked in the comments for you guys. It is our homepage. You can find the details on our whole scouting team right here in the page. You can find every mock draft that we've done throughout this process. We have like 8 of them now, I think. You can find, let's see, every article about the draft. We have a how to watch in here if you're looking for how to watch it. We have a few things about Ashton Jeanty now, just the last few days, that don't do it. Ryan Poles
That's
one,
right. Yeah.
especially. My
Flag
top
that
30
one.
offensive linemen are in here. Our top 30 visit tracker. And it just goes on and on with that. And then all of our podcast links. If, you know, tomorrow you're looking to is thinking the Bears, you know, maybe they're going to target a tight end on day 2, maybe they're going to target a running back. You want to go
Right.
back and listen to some details. We have the links of all of our scouting episodes right here. And most importantly, well, we have a video that we're on right now,
That's right.
sitting there. But most importantly, we have our grading scale. I threw in the drafttech.com NFL draft chart, so we have it right here if we need to do any quick numbers on what that looks like. We just to the it's just the Jimmy Johnson chart seems to be the
Yeah.
most accurate typically. Most importantly, we have our scouting reports. We have a profile with a quick blurb, like for Ashton Jeanty. Steve Letizia wrote, Jeanty's record-breaking junior season is a testament to his consistency and ability to gain yards in any situation. While concerns regarding his pass protection and workload are valid, his potential as a runner far outweighs these issues. Jeanty is a blue-chip talent, and the Bears have been deprived of elite playmakers for far too long. I know Steve has said, but don't trade up for him.
Yeah.
That would be his statement there. At 10, it's fine, but don't move up for
Oh,
him. We also,
yeah.
I got some notes. Most of these are from The Beast. If you don't get The
Yeah.
Beast, it's an incredible document that has so many details. But our other notes here, Jeanty grew up on naval military bases. He played his first year of high school football on a base in Italy.
Wow.
In his freshman year there in Italy, he ran for more than 1,200 yards and 21 touchdowns across 6 games, 2 of which he played as a quarterback. And he was
crazy.
also a competitive weightlifter while in Italy. His background is pretty nuts.
Like the high school stats for these guys are always just like laughable. Like it makes me like realize I could have never been a professional athlete because it's like these guys. It's just like I remember going to high school football games. Like the high school I went to, the football team always sucked, but it was like there were some guys who went to like some Division III schools. But I mean, they were. You see some of these guys that go in, like become first round draft picks, and it's like he threw for 4,400 yards in 3 games or something and ran for 1,200. Like, I remember Calvin Johnson when I was at Tech. Calvin Johnson was there, and I remember talking to somebody who I guess was plugged into the team, and they were talking about how, like, when Chan Gailey was recruiting him, he went to like Calvin Johnson's school and they only threw it to him like 2 or 3 times and he caught it 3 times and ran in for 3 touchdowns. Like it was just like he was unstoppable. I'm like, but then it's like, of course they only fed him the ball like 3 times. So, but
yeah. And then, so just real quick, one last thing. If you're in here using this, underneath all the hoopla here, you'll see full scouting report below. It's right here. Very first link here. You click it. It will take you to ontapsportsnet.com, where we will give you our full scouting report, background information, all his strengths, his weaknesses, and a quick video that our scouts, these are the videos our scouts put together. This is also back here on the homepage. You can play it. You can watch it in here. You don't even need to open up Twitter to watch it. It's just all embedded within this site. This site is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so, like, I am so excited that this is out here now. It's such a
it's very digestible,
such a development from the Google Sheets that I've been using the last few years. So check it out, play around with it. If you want to have a little fun, down here at the bottom, I have a nice scene from draft day for you guys. And then some commentary on draft day as well. And then just a bunch of tweets from our scouts about this class and like little things.
Does the Jaguars general manager now not remind you of the one in that movie?
It has to. It has to. Like, absolutely.
Like, oh, that movie's such a guilty pleasure. And I always watch it around this time of year. And it's so like not believable, but it's an awesome like guilty pleasure. So
yeah, I watched it like a week ago. And I was just like, okay, I need to get it out of my system now. I know I won't have time like the day before the draft, but like I need to do it at some point.
So of the top 10, who do you think didn't have anyone at his birthday party?
Of our top 10 or of anyone picked
of the top 10 in this draft class? Who's the Bo Callahan of this draft class?
Oh, I mean, it's Shedeur.
I was gonna say Shedeur.
Yeah, it's easily Shedeur.
Yeah. Oh gosh, how far do you think he's gonna? I mean, I guess fall is a relative.
Although you know who it could be too, could be Walter Nolan, based on things we've heard. Like 6 schools in 7 years, and you know, bit of a
he's diversifying his portfolio, is how he would.
Yeah. I mean, that's not the way to maintain friends. Man, what are you watching on, Nick?
I'm watching on, I think, just ESPN. I usually watch it on NFL Network, but I have it on Hulu right now, and I don't think they have. Maybe it does actually. Right now,
I've got it on NFL Network through NFL Plus. So
okay, let me see if I can find it. I'm sure.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say if we have different ones, that's better. Because whoever sees it first, just put it out there. You know,
I was gonna say right now there's people riding bicycles and Clay Matthews. So
I saw Goodell roll in on the bike, and I was like,
it's like a circus, man. It's insane. I'm waiting for like clowns juggling to come out. Like,
yeah, it's something. Man,
it is weird seeing like Mason Crosby with a full head of gray hair, and it's like I remember that guy when that guy came into the league, and now like he looks like he's selling boat insurance or something. He's got a full head of gray hair, dressed to the nines. So
yeah,
makes me feel old.
That does make me feel old,
dude. Just like when like Jeremiah Trotter Jr., we talk about that all the time. Like when that dude gets, I'm like, I remember his dad playing. And there's another guy. Jesse Tuggle is someone's like uncle or something, isn't it? I can't remember. Is it Micah Parsons? I think he's like the uncle or something of a player. And
wait, who is Jesse Tuggle?
Oh, he was a Falcons linebacker. And the only reason I know that is because I went to the Falcons and the Bears played on a Sunday night when they had just traded for Cutler. So it had to have been like 2009. And we went, and it was the old Georgia Dome. And there was a dude, like an antagonistic Falcons fan, because like Bears fans always almost outnumber the Falcons fans when the Bears play down here.
Yeah.
And this antagonistic Falcons fan with like this tattered Jesse Tuggle jersey was like just riling up all the Falcons fans, trying to get people to fight. And he was just like, I mean, by the time the game started, he was half in the bag. So
I mean, that actually tracks for a guy whose nickname was Jesse the Hammer Tuggle.
Yeah. So, I relate to him. I'm gonna get his jersey.
Yeah, that works. That works.
Scott said I'm 5 minutes behind. Is that just the ESPN is 5 minutes behind?
I'm not sure.
It'd be pretty hilarious if it was a 5 minutes behind lag on my part where like I say something now in 5 minutes, you hear what it is.
So I'm probably gonna pull up Schefter.
Okay.
Well, just on Twitter. Just so we have the most up to, because it's like everyone's stream is always on a different different wavelength. But
yeah,
Schefter's on top of it. It's just about how often am I going to refresh Schefter?
Yeah. Man,
I like watching Lil Wayne up on stage with those guys, though. It's like you realize just how tiny Lil Wayne is relative to a football player.
Dude, all these guys, like it is weird. Like there was an interview Kay Adams had with Mason Graham, because I guess he walked into his Jaguars meeting and did the Duval that Liam Cohen did. And I'm like, this guy is an animal, but he's also, you can tell he's like 20 years old with like the stuff that he finds hilarious. It's
So are the Titans on the clock for you yet?
Yeah, they've got about 7.5 minutes.
Okay, so you're ahead of me. Mine's at 7:50, and it says on 5, so
dude, is it not insane? I know why they make them take all that time, but it drives me nuts that it's like, like the first. Well, I guess this draft's a little different, but usually like the first few picks, it's like they know what it's going to be. But they got to get that ad revenue when the commercials hit. They got to stretch it out as long as possible.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the NFL not even. I mean, that's just that's the the cable companies, the channels who have it. They're just like, we'll pay this much for the right to broadcast it, but you guys need to promise us we have this much commercial time.
Yeah, we need to host you guys selecting college age kids. We need to have that content on.
Hey man, it's a huge draw.
It is. It's crazy. Like, I mean, hats off to the NFL, because like no other sport has like the stranglehold on like the national attention like the NFL. Like baseball tries to have their draft, and it's like I couldn't care less. Like, I mean, and then it's like 30 rounds too, so it's like an insane. But
then we got it's good to see P Bodes.
Bodeway
in the comments. Good to see you out there, Pat. Hoping for a good night for the Bears.
I was gonna say,
they are hyping the hell out of this thing.
They are.
Bears. Did you see that promo they dropped?
Yeah.
Like what are that? They have to be self-aware enough to know that if they trade up for a running back, half the fan base is not going to be excited about that.
Oh, it's
like, which makes me like, I'm just so curious what they're hyping.
Yeah, I've heard, and this again, rumors, so take it with a huge grain of salt, but a lot of people have speculated that Abdul Carter is on there, trading with the Giants might be, but it's like,
no, Nick, that would be bad for us. You know why that would be bad for us? Because of this status right here at the top of our board.
Video.
It's only the one guy in our that like in the top really 25 outside of Mike Green, because we figured Mike Green just wouldn't even be on the Bears board. Right. They would have no chance of Abdul Carter. So I was like, we're not gonna waste our time keep writing a report on Abdul Carter. We have other guys to write. We don't have a scouting report on Abdul Carter, so it can't be Abdul Carter.
So speaking of which, though, like who in the top 10 do you think is just not like? I've heard Mason Graham is a dude who a lot of fans like us are higher on than supposedly general managers. Like I heard one guy said one guy had said he had the body of a marshmallow man, which was kind of hilarious, but it's also like, I don't know, scouting terms. If you ever need to laugh at anything, like just listen to scouts, just talk, like shop about.
Nick, I've found that if you spend enough time watching all 22, you will just start talking like a scout.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
The amount of times this draft cycle I've said that kid from Texas.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Because I couldn't remember a guy's name.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh Jesus, I'm turning into like and just like little like sayings that you start picking up, and like the amount of times I'm catching myself talking about a guy's violent demeanor mattering so much, and it's just like, you either have it in you or you don't. And like, it's like, that's the antithesis of everything analytical that I've ever like brought to football. And it's like, the more I've done scouting and tape, the more I'm just turning into a meatball slowly.
Yeah. Oh, dude. It reminds me of that scene in Moneyball when they're all, have you seen that movie with Brad Pitt? Yeah. They're all sitting at like the very beginning, and it's like all those like geriatric scouts just talking about players, and it's just using the most like scout lingo, and it's all so outdated, and it's hilarious because they're just like, oh, he's got an ugly girlfriend, that means you don't have confidence, and these like things that they pick apart. It's crazy,
but it's like that's real. Like, that's where I'm going with stuff. Like, it's wild.
It is. It's crazy.
But wait, I'm sorry. What was your one guy who
I was just like, do you think
Bears
there's
would be on?
Do you think so? You said Mike Green. You just don't even think the Bears would entertain.
I doubt he's even on their board.
Okay, so here comes the pick.
If outside of Abdul Carter, like, I don't think any edge rusher under 260 they're interested in.
Yeah. So they're showing the pick on my side, so I'll let you know what they. I mean,
as soon as like it says the pick is in, but it's the pick is in, and then there's the whole walk up and
Shedeur Sanders
building it
up. No, it's Cam Ward, the worst kept secret. How? I mean, what do you think of Cam Ward? Do you think he's going to be a plus starter, or like?
I did not watch his tape closely. It's Cam Ward.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it closely, but from what I saw, I watched some other Miami. Scott says that the Browns are trading the number 2 overall pick and a 4th round pick, number 104, and a 6th round, number 200 to the Jaguars. Jaguars are sending number 5 and a 2nd round pick. Okay.
I wonder, you think they want Travis Hunter, I'm assuming?
Holy crap. They have to be sending more than just 5 and a 2.
Scott might have
he might have got cut off
halfway through because of the shock of the trade. He got to that open parentheses and then just keeled over.
Let's see what Schefter says.
Oh,
and their 2026 first round pick.
Okay.
And a 4th too. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
So they must want, I mean, this has to be for Travis Hunter, right? Like, or do you think it's Abdul Carter?
It's got, because the Jaguars already have so much at edge.
Yeah.
It's got to be for Travis Hunter.
Shedeur Sanders, no matter what. No.
Man, no, I mean, I'm Trevor real quick.
Yeah, I'm super high on Travis Hunter. I just I wonder if he will settle at one position in the NFL, or if he will like truly be a two-way like, I don't think at the start of his career he'll be a two-way player.
I think he makes a lot more sense for the Jaguars than he would the Browns.
I agree there. Yeah.
The Browns already have so much at corner. Like they have an embarrassment of riches at corner.
They're trying to trade Greg Newsome. Did you see that? Like they're already trying to. Yeah, they've already made it. I don't know if it put him on the block or made him available, but I mean they have like him. They have Denzel Ward. They still have Greedy.
I'm the Bears. I'm interested in Greg Newsome. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I thought
like that is a sticky man corner who can go inside and play nickel, and it gives you more multiplicity with Kyler Gordon. Like with Dennis Allen talking about him needing to learn some safety, like that is kind of, I don't know. Greg Newsome feels like he'd fit really well. He's probably not the size that Dennis Allen typically wants, but
yeah,
he's a nasty press corner.
Yeah, and they've had there were rumors about the Bears looking at him maybe a couple years ago now, but I remember he was kind of dangled a few years ago too I think it was back when the Bears were interested in trading Justin Fields. It was one of the maybe the Browns were a destination or a sleeper spot, and Greg Newsome was on the trading block, so he could have been part of a package, or who knows, it all water under the bridge now. But yeah, they've I guess there was a report that it was him and one of their defensive ends. I can't I'm gonna butcher his name, so I'm even gonna try, but it was like Obo Agbanagi or something.
Ogbo Okoronkwo?
Yeah, that's it. Okoronkwo. I'm looking at it now.
Yeah. He's a quality edge. Like, he's nothing special, but like he's a good rotational guy, I think.
Let me ask you this. So if the Bears trade up for Jeanty, do you think that's Poles really just ingratiating himself with Ben Johnson and being like, I'm going to get this guy for you? Or do you think I feel like Poles is very much like a coach's general manager, just based off of the guys that he's like that first draft with
Terrell Smith was a perfect Eberflus corner.
Gordon and Brisker at the start of his career when they needed like offensive lineman help. So I don't know, how sold on. I mean, I guess we'd just be speculating, but like, I feel like if they want Jeanty, it's because Ben Johnson really wants Ashton Jeanty, and this would be Poles being like, I'm going to do whatever I need to get you your guy. Because I really do think there's so much talent at running back that them trading up would just be so hard to stomach.
Yeah. So I'm trying to look at this trade to see where the market's sitting.
Okay.
Like the Browns gave up 2697 points on the Jimmy Johnson chart. Let's see. And Jacksonville gave, so that's 1,700 for the number 5 pick.
Mm-hmm. They gave up a 4th, I believe.
Second round pick, and that's number 36. So that's 540. Number 126. So that's, let's see, 46. First round next year, I guess we'll just call that 15.
Yeah, I think you do. Yeah, it's like
16.
It docks it around. Like, I don't know how it works with the Jimmy Johnson, but it's usually like seen as like the value of the second round pick.
That?
I think.
Okay, because that's where my gut was going, but I wasn't sure. 28-16. So I mean, the Jags paid a premium here,
dude, for Travis Hunter. Oh my gosh, all shaking.
They gave 28-16. They received 26-97. So what is that? Like a 119 point difference.
It's a buyer's market.
Well, no, I mean that's the Browns got more.
Yeah, I guess it would be
that means it's a seller's market.
Trade. Yeah, right? I guess it's a seller's market. Yeah.
Let's see what the percentage on that premium is.
I do stocks. No. Yeah. I've seen Wolf on Wall Street.
Yeah, they paid a 4.5% premium on that.
It's got to be just because it's Travis Hunter, which is going to be.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
All right, the pick is in.
It's weird to overpay for a non-quarterback.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
I do like the way he fits in Jacksonville, though, because they can play him at corner and still give him a role on offense, as opposed to like just making him an offensive player. Like it seemed like he'd be in Cleveland.
I heard this point made, and I brought it up when we did the podcast for cornerbacks. But one of the things is like, if Travis Hunter, let's say he like tweaks his hamstring at training camp, which I'm hoping doesn't happen, but let's say it does, then you lose both a starting wide receiver and a starting cornerback. So it's like one of those like, oh crap, this could be a huge, like you could get so much value out of this one guy, or, if he goes down, you could get so, I guess, screwed over when it comes to.
Yeah, no, really. Like you might lose your best weapon and your
Yeah,
best corner.
which is like a terrible way to look at it because they never look at it like, well, what if this guy gets hurt? But I mean, it is one of those things where it's like Tevin Jenkins was a great example of like this dude had such lingering. I mean, Travis Hunter doesn't have, as far as I know, any injury concerns. He is like a little lean. Like it's going to be interesting how he like puts on weight for the NFL.
Honestly, I'm not worried about it. The guy played both. Like he played more snaps than
Yeah.
anyone in the last 2 years in college football.
Yeah.
Like and didn't have injuries. Like
Yeah,
at least didn't miss games with injuries. So like I'm like his body will be fine. You know?
That's going to get clipped and it's just going to play forever once he like tweaks a hamstring.
Yeah, right. Old takes exposed.
Yeah.
His body hit the breaking point.
Yeah, exactly. Kevin White, he's going to get shin splints and just never. Gosh. I saw someone put together a list of like,
dude, Kevin White terrorizes me to this day. Like I hear Abdul Carter has a stress fracture in his foot, and I'm like, Kevin White.
Yeah, I know. It seriously, like Bears fans have such. It's such a like. It's just like drafting Josh Simmons. I heard like I think Kevin Fishman was making this point about like the Bears have such like PTSD from drafting injured offensive linemen that do not pan out, whether it's like Chris Williams, Tevin Jenkins,
Karimi.
Yeah, all these guys, Mark Colombo, like, and it's like, oh great, when has that ever worked out for the Bears?
It is Travis Hunter. It is Travis Hunter.
All right,
his fly pink suit. He's looking, looking fresh.
He looks like he came out of the Barbie movie to go get drafted.
Dude, I was reading this. So I didn't. I think you mentioned this. I didn't realize that Champ Bailey played both ways in college.
Oh yeah.
And so I started Googling like Travis Hunter, Champ Bailey.
Yeah.
I found an ESPN article where they're interviewing Champ Bailey about it and about Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he's talking about like the amount of time that this dude has to commit to football in college.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane for him to be able to do what he did. And like, if I'm a coach, I see that and I go, I have no concerns about this kid. He is going to develop into whatever he decides he's going to develop into. And we know he is working like 12-hour days at football while still passing his classes, I assume.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have any red flags that were publicly aware about that. Like, all the dude does is like fish and football. That's like all the dude cares about. It's it's wild. Yeah. Like it's the amount of work that this 21-year-old is putting in to play both ways is utterly insane.
Yeah, and it can't be understated because like I feel like people think, oh, he plays both ways, so he must just be pretty good at both. And that's why he's such a highly valued recruit. And it's like, no, he's the best wide receiver if he was just a wide receiver, and he's the best cornerback if he was just a cornerback in their respective classes. So it's like it's not like, oh, you're looking at a guy who is probably like the third best wide receiver and like the second best cornerback. So he's worth like it's like, no, he's head and shoulders above everyone. At least, I mean, I scouted corners and safeties, and he was by far the best corner of all of them.
I mean, they just showed him in a Tampa 2, like just robbing the corner route. Like that's insane. The fluidity and speed he just did that with is utterly insane.
And it's one of those things when you're so good at both those positions, it has to be such an advantage to play the opposite one. Like when you're such a good cornerback and you're playing wide receiver, you have to know exactly. Like he has to be like a quarterback stream, because you would imagine he knows how to read coverages. He knows how to, run those choice routes, know which way to break, which way to, the football IQ is so high for a player like that. So, because I mean, Champ Bailey was like, I think he went to like 11 out of 12 Pro Bowls. So like he was a legit Hall of Fame. But as a wide receiver, I don't think many people thought he was going to play both. He was an okay wide receiver, but he wasn't like he wasn't to the level of what Travis Hunter is.
He wasn't playing every snap both ways like Hunter did. He was more of a gadget guy, was my understanding.
On
it. But I get the concerns around him from a technique standpoint, where it's like, I don't like his releases. I don't think he's that good a route runner. But like when you look at the athlete and you look at the work ethic and you combine that with the football IQ, it's all there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, to me, everything that you could possibly be concerned about this guy is teachable, and he's clearly coachable and smart. So, like, I have no worries at that point, unless the guy just suddenly becomes an injury machine.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll
and
be.
He's worked this hard while getting paid.
Right.
That's the other thing in the NIL era that's new.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're starting to see guys who might not be working as hard because they are getting paid already. You don't have that concern with him. He's been getting paid.
Yeah, I'll be interested with what they do. And so I'm trying to think who the Jaguars have on. So they have Trevor Lawrence, ETN. They cut, did they cut or trade Christian Kirk? I know he's not on the team anymore, but
is he not? Where did he go? I barely remember that.
I don't. Let me look where he went, because it's what Gabe Davis, Gabe Davis, and who else is it? Houston Texans is where Christian Kirk went. So he just in the division, but
actually I kind of like that for the Texans.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, and Diami Brown seem to be their top three.
Okay. Oh, Brian Thomas. Yeah, he's really good last year. I totally blanked on that.
You have 2 sacrificial X's and an X.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Travis Hunter's going to fit here, like, in this.
Yeah.
I mean, Thomas does do well out of this. Like, he did very well out of the slot. The slot fades like that he did at LSU constantly. Like, he's really good at those. But, and Hunter's going to be, I mean, they need a corner.
Well, yeah, that's what I know. I know they were weak at corner.
Yeah, like Tyson Campbell's good. Tyson Campbell's starting for you. His PFF grade wasn't good. He had injuries.
Right.
But Monteric Brown, I think you're trying to upgrade from.
Yeah.
Oh, the Giants are already, it says Giants selection.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And Goodell's up at the podium. So,
dude, his dad has a sweet
Abdul Carter. Yeah, he does.
He looks like he's dressed like Vontae Mack in draft day.
Dude, I couldn't stop laughing at this. I've never like looked at it this closely. In the scene where Vontae Mack sacks Bo Callahan. That is the worst sack I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God. There's nothing funnier than like when movies or like the Aaron Hernandez.
He is so stiff.
Yeah. The Aaron Hernandez TV show when he's running routes and he looks like my fat 37-year-old ass running routes. And he's just like, and they're like, I've never seen someone that size move so well. And I'm like, really? He looks like
it doesn't get better in the Aaron Hernandez show.
Dude.
Bill Belichick jamming out to Bon Jovi.
Oh,
that killed me. I watched that 10 times straight.
The guy playing Gronk. It's so funny because like you can tell. What's so funny is like the actors, by and large, a lot of them were on the shorter side, so they have to like, showed up in Crocs, man after my daughter's heart. That's all she wears.
Scott, is this going to be the Chicago mispronunciation? It's not going to be Jeanty. It's going to be Gentry. Ashton Jeanty.
I think his name's Alshon Jeffries.
Alshon Jeffries.
Yeah.
It's where we're going, guys.
Dude, Trubinsky. The amount of times my dad is so awful at names.
I don't know why it's Chicago. Like my dad said Trubinsky all the time.
Oh, Trubinsky, Jeffries, Justin Field. Like I'm like, yeah, it's hilarious. Like, what was it? Kurt Fuller was what one of the guys called Kyle Fuller
or Kyler Fuller.
Yeah. Well, so
man, I'm actually kind of like seeing Abdul Carter go to the Giants just because it's like, you know, he was posting the LT like pictures and stuff the other day, and it's like, yeah, that's fire.
It's cool. The smartest pick because I know a lot of people were saying, well, the Giants already have a pretty decent front seven with Brian Burns and Thibodeau.
Yeah, they have a good. I mean, this one just makes it better.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
already pretty sick, but Thibodeau isn't a stud by any means.
No, he's been such a
PFF already has Carter in there. They are on top of it.
There's like one diehard Giants fan that's like, oh, finally. They probably had that in there since before the draft.
Yeah, probably.
He showed up looking like a Cenobite from Hellraiser.
All right, so this is a big speculated trade spot. Number
4.
4. Yeah.
Oh, for the Bears?
The Patriots have been trying to move out of 4, apparently.
Well, I really hope that they just stand pat, but I don't know. It's kind of I'm a little reassured, unless the Browns are trying to double dip and like do what people want the Bears to do when they wanted them to trade with the Texans for 2 and then trade them again for 12 when they had the first overall pick. I do hope, trading the Jaguars moving up kind of gets rid of that trade partner, unless, the Browns are looking to move back again.
Andrew Berry's a big analytics guy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if he was like, let's just stack these picks after all this Deshaun Watson stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Dude, they're showing an empty couch and Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if he's just left. Like ESPN just cut to like an empty couch of Shedeur Sanders.
Drama?
Yeah. Headline: Shedeur Sanders storms out of home draft room.
So here, give me 1 sec. I gotta go on mute for a sec because I'm opening something out. I want to make a bunch of crunching.
I'll workshop some stand-up material.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so there is a. Let's see. Actually, I know I put it in our thing here. So
that reminds me. Before you go too far, I don't know if you've seen. So I just want to give you your flowers because you were one of the first ones on the Carson Schwessinger train, the linebacker.
The dude's a baller.
Yeah, but we were talking about that back in whenever, before we did. That was one of the first podcasts we did, and you were talking. And now I've seen him mocked numerous times to the Bears. I don't know if they'll draft him. But I think it's interesting that a guy that you were, out in front of.
I love him. I think he's gotten too rich for my blood, though.
Second round, man. I'm like, there's no I'm still.
Dude's 225 pounds. You can't take him in the second round.
I'm still high on Chris Paul Jr., even though he tested not that great in the combine. But
did he test poorly? I didn't even realize.
Yeah. Well, if you go off of Raz and all that, it wasn't poor, but it was mediocre. So it's. I feel like if you're not one of those guys that blows the doors off the combine, you kind of get lumped in as like not great. Yeah, but I still really like him.
But so I want to discuss Shedeur Sanders issues.
Oh, let's talk about it.
I read this article, great piece from the Sports Memery, called Shedeur Sanders draft stock in jeopardy after insisting on playing Settlers of Catan during NFL interviews.
Was it junior version or the real version?
Real version. There's a picture of him with it and everything right here. See?
That's not AI? That's hilarious.
Probably.
That's amazing. Gosh.
Sources close to the combine say Sanders arrived at each NFL team meeting with a well-known Settlers game box, a bag of custom gold-plated resource cards, and an unshakable belief that bartering brick for ore is the purest test of leadership.
Hilarious. Oh my God.
Again, you can find this in our draft page here. It's way down at the bottom, but I had to include it somewhere because it's comedy gold.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny too because
right
it touches on that weird part of the season where it's like, I don't know, this feels fake, but there's so much nonsense coming out of every single team and everything now that this could be very real. Like he really could like Settlers of Catan. I'm more of a pandemic man, but yeah, we'll play Settlers of Catan. Just imagine him going with some like eggheads at some analytics department, them arguing. It reminds me of that Cones of Dunshire from Parks and Rec. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
Yeah. Yes.
Like this like super esoteric game that has all these like obscure rules but that'd be hilarious.
So I guess the Patriots are going with Campbell.
Well, dude, they showed him at the very beginning. They had like all the draft prospects lined up and they had Campbell. He had this people talk about him like he's got T-Rex arms and they're so small. And now I can't help but just every time I see him, like I look at his arms and just like they like
Think, are they that small?
yeah. Are my eyes deceiving me?
I mean, honestly, I know Scott says he's sad about this. I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of relieved.
I'm a little relieved only because I don't know where he would have. I know that there was something that came out that said he told the Bears, or the Bears told him he'd be left tackle.
Yeah.
If they drafted him. But oh, here he comes with his little Whopper, BK Whopper hands. Not long enough.
Like I don't know. Campbell scares me because like if I think there's a real chance he can stick at tackle.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if he can't, I don't feel that good about him at guard.
Rashawn Slater's like the one. What he's the one like. What is it? It's
even he was at like 33 inches, and
I was gonna say he was like right at the cutoff, and everybody was concerned about him. But I don't know.
And Bernard Raymond's done it. Braden Smith's done it. Braden Smith is my comp for Will Campbell.
Yeah,
like I think there's a chance that Will Campbell is a good offensive tackle in this league. I just think that's as good as it gets for him, though. I don't think he ever becomes an All-Pro, hardly a Pro Bowler. Like, yeah, I don't see that.
Did you have any thoughts about like comping him to Peter Skoronski? Like, was there any similarities there, or
outside of the short arms? Not really. He's got I think that he has a much quicker feet, quicker feet than Skoronski did. Yeah. And Skoronski had good feet, but it was always Skoronski always felt a touch slow to me, like a half step behind where he should be. Will Campbell feels ahead of where he needs to be with his feet, which is why I think he has a real chance to stick at tackle. And I think that he has some pretty solid anchor to be able to handle some of the longer guys in the league.
Yeah.
Getting into him, because they're going to get into him. But he needs to grow his hand fighting to be able to keep it off of him. He needs to be extremely fast, extremely efficient. His margin for error is so thin with the hands.
Is there anything in the rule book that can he wear a set of Hulk hands, like those foam Hulk hands that will extend his reach? And then
I don't think there is. I don't think there is, Nick.
But there's nothing in the rule book about a dog not being able to play basketball. Gosh, so crazy.
Or football, or hockey, or baseball.
Yeah. I don't know if you're on the Reddit NFL draft subreddit.
I am, but I don't look at it very much anymore.
This time of year is always hilarious because people are so like just weary from all the mock drafts that they start doing like Marvel mock drafts. They start having their like 5-year-olds do mock drafts.
Oh, I did years ago. One of the best Reddit posts I've ever made from like a karma perspective.
Yeah,
was a Star Wars mock draft.
Oh, yeah,
that was just like the dumbest thing ever. And I don't even know Star Wars that well.
Yeah,
I was just like, I'm feeling this. This is going to be funny. I think it was right around when like one of the new Star Wars, like right when they got like rebooted in like 2018 or something, came out, and I was just like, so I was like about to go see it, and I was like, I can do this. Yeah,
let's capitalize it. Who was first overall? Do you remember who you had one overall?
I don't. I would have to go pull it up. Let's see.
Cam Ward. No.
I mean, honestly, that probably combines right around with when I stopped posting a lot. So, like, I bet you it's pretty much the top of my profile.
I bet Jabba the Hutt would be a good tackle. Not very good feet, but good bulwark. The Browns are picking, so
yeah, this is a spot.
I wonder who they're going to go after, because they kind of moved out of where, like, I feel like now we're out of blue chip territory. I don't know if you feel the same, but like I felt like after Hunter. I mean, really, after Hunter and Carter, those were the two, I think most people, and I guess Campbell was the best tackle, but
yeah, Campbell was my third tackle, but
he was your third tackle?
Yeah, I had Josh Simmons ahead of him, but Josh Simmons wasn't going to go this high. I don't have the medicals, and I wasn't in the interviews, so it's really hard for me to sit there and justify dropping a guy for those two things. And I have Josh Connerly ahead of Campbell.
Okay, where do you have Membu? Is he 4?
He's 4.
Okay,
I believe. Let's see.
Yeah, a lot of people are high on Josh Connerly. Oh,
here we go. Go to my top 30 offensive linemen here.
Well, I'm not surprised the Patriots took him.
Yeah, Membu's 4 for me. And then Banks is 5. Membu and Banks' grade is like almost the exact same for me. I see those two very closely for very different reasons.
Right.
Like they're very different players, but I see them very closely. I put Membu ahead of Banks. I think Membu has more clear upside to stay at tackle and to be a really good tackle. I think Banks might be an all-pro guard, but I'm not sure if he's even a Pro Bowl tackle. I prefer, from a pure like takeaway need, from a pure looking at the player basis, I prefer Banks.
Gotcha.
But
would you be surprised?
The tackle in my mind. So
I mean, do you think Simmons at 10 is in the cards? Do you? Because I think the Bears are going to have a hard time getting past some of the interviews that like supposedly didn't go great. Yeah, I've heard
combined with the injury.
Yeah, because I've heard he didn't. Like, it's always one of those weird things. Like, we were making fun of draft day, but there's definitely a nugget of truth in the whole like micro analyzing these guys' like love for football and all that stuff, and it becomes like,
dude, that's what I'm saying. When I'm saying like I'm starting to like talk more like a scout the more I watch. Like there are guys who
Mason Graham went to
Mason Graham. Okay,
interesting. Because all I'd heard this whole day was that he was like 11 to 20.
Oh wait, I've been meaning to be rocking this the whole time. Let's see. So Graham went 5
to the Browns,
to Cleveland. Let's see. Hunter went 2, right?
He did, to the Jaguars.
To Jacksonville.
Man, so okay, here's
Carter
the Jeanty
3 to the Giants.
Yeah, so here's the Jeanty spot with the Raiders.
I don't know. I think we might see Kelvin Banks.
You think he might go to
based on P Tints? Were you following P Tints?
I was gonna say, well, somebody brought up outside of Russell Okung, that was his first draft pick with the Seahawks.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
And then he went like 10 years until Charles Cross.
Membao makes a lot of sense here.
I was just going to say that would be because they lost last year. The guy went to the Giants. I can't remember his name now. I wanted the Bears to look at him. He ended up having a decent year, but he was a tackle. Was it Colton Miller's their left tackle, right? And then it's and I don't know.
Yeah, he wasn't that good, but he was like good enough.
Yeah,
he went to New York. Is he still in New York? Yeah, Jermaine.
Yeah. I wanted the Bears. I thought he'd have been like a perfect like depth piece for them to sign, and then he ended up signing like a pretty decent deal with the Giants.
I mean, I don't know. They don't need a guard. They need a right tackle. I mean, that feels like it's Membao or Membu. That's how it's pronounced.
Big M, Eminem.
Right? I think that's how it's pronounced. Membu. I put it in here.
Membu.
Straight from Brugler. That might be my favorite thing about the Beast.
Yeah,
is the phonetic spellings,
dude. Savon Ravel. Yeah, Savon Ravel or whatever, the cornerback. Yeah. Everybody wants to say it's like Chavon, and it's got like I don't know what the etymology of it is. Like, dude, I don't know.
But did you know the background about him?
Oh yeah. He I know the one interesting nugget. So he was a 3-star recruit, and what was interesting about that was I think he was academically ineligible to go to a Division I school. So he had to go to JUCO. And usually when you're academically ineligible, you're a 0-star recruit, because it's like, why even bother giving you a star? You're not going to go to a Division I school. But he was so good, like, that they were like, well, we'll still give you 3 stars.
No, there's more to that.
Oh, there's more. Fill me in.
His sophomore year, I assume. I mean, I was about to say he was in the front seat. I have no idea what seat he was in, but him and his 2 brothers were in the car.
Mm-hmm.
His dad was driving. His dad blacks out from a coughing spell, like just starts hacking up a lung. Apparently,
good Lord, like
blacks out. They hit a concrete wall. He breaks his skull, his nose, and sprains his neck.
Oh my gosh.
Misses the rest of the season. So, like, his entire junior year is probably in rehab.
Yeah.
That explains the grades a decent
Yeah.
amount. That might be why they still gave him stars.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. I didn't know that. Jeez. That's crazy. He came back.
Yeah, he cracked his skull. He had to have surgery on it.
That's crazy. You need that.
Yeah.
You need your skull.
That's why we wear helmets. You can't have any holes in it.
Yeah, that's why we wear helmets. Rub some dirt on it. Get back out there, Savon.
But yeah, I was blown away when I read that.
All right, here goes Raiders.
Raiders.
Ashton Jeanty.
Really?
I think so. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
You think so? I thought you were stating, not.
No, it is. It is.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
That's tough.
I wonder if they cut to the Bears war room and you just see Ian Cunningham like restraining Ryan Poles' chair so he can't trade up, and it's just like,
yeah. I mean, hey, I'm glad they didn't trade up.
I'm glad. It's a bummer because like if he got past the Raiders, I think he might have made it to 10.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I'm not surprised he went to the Raiders. I'm also like, this is one of the things I brought up in that article I wrote. The Raiders just lost Josh Jacobs because they couldn't put a good enough team around him, and they drafted him in the first round, and then he ends up like basically, a lot of these guys that you take in the first round, you see them, they spend their 4 years with the team that drafts them, and then they leave, and it's because the team around them is. Now I think the Bears have a better situation like for Jeanty to have come into, but I also, Saquon Barkley's another guy. He was drafted second overall. He spends 4 or 5 years with the Giants, and then he's out of there. Like, you see it a lot with these. I think Genty's good. I think the LaDainian Tomlinson comp that I've seen is a little rich for like LaDainian Tomlinson is like such a.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's rich, but I mean, I think that's the ceiling.
That's the ceiling for sure. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it like that's. I've seen people sort of use it more like it's a baseline, and that's where I'm like, no, I don't know if
I like Steve's. Its ceiling is LaDainian Tomlinson, floor is D'Angelo Williams. I think I'd call it most likely rather than floor.
Right.
Like that's where I like to do a ceiling and a most likely.
Yeah.
Because a floor is like, I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time saying a guy's floor is like D'Angelo Williams is really.
Oh, well, ESPN's comparing him to Emmitt Smith, so.
I mean, I like LaDainian as a comp. I think there's a lot of similarities there, but like that is projecting a lot of pass catching, right?
I was going to say,
such a good pass catcher.
Like LaDainian Tomlinson helped reshape the entire running back position. Like him and like Marshall Faulk and even Edgerrin James a little bit. Like they were such ahead of the curve that like they became the template for teams to try to look for in the next running back. Like, I like D'Angelo Williams as a comp a lot. He does have like the David Montgomery ability to shed tackles, but he's just it's like a David Montgomery on steroids is like what he reminds me of.
My buddy Danny Meehan said it's like he's just covered in butter. Like no one can actually hit him cleanly, which is freaking insane. Like the guy has such a rare skill to just subtle movements, subtle like angle changes that just like he's so hard to get hit to square up well.
Be interesting. I mean, that seems like a Pete Carroll. Oh, Pat McAfee's ticker is 2 picks ahead. So there's one.
This beats Pete.
I get the feeling, I bet Jeanty wanted to come to the Bears. Like, I really got the impression that he was. I mean, I know they all just give lip service to the teams, but it seems like.
I mean, he said he knew he wasn't getting past 6.
Oh, he said that?
He said something like that. Something like
makes sense. Well, then.
The pick is in for the New York Football Jets. We'll see how long it takes.
You think it's Tyler Warren? I've heard Warren and I've heard Membu.
I hope it's Warren.
Who's still?
God, I don't even know what I want now.
I don't either. Like, I think,
I want to trade down. That's what I want.
dude, Jalen Walker.
Yeah.
No bias. No, I'm just saying that.
Dude, I'm so conflicted on him because I'm like, man, if I can't run an NFL defense, but if I were a defensive coordinator, I would be drooling about what I could do with Jalen Walker.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean he'd be good.
Right.
But the possibilities, I'd just be like, the amount of times you could get him one-on-one with a center, like you can move him all around, play with the pass protection. Like it'd be a lot of fun. I'm not sure how sustainable it is on running downs, but it'd be fun.
Just watch him against any game against Texas last year, and he was just wrecking that Texas offense. But
oh, dude, Cameron Williams, he was just taking his lunch money.
It was insane. And Scott said he can spoil it. If he can spoil away, Scott.
Yeah, Scott, spoil away, man. If you've got it.
Yeah, because
let us know. We don't want to be behind. Even though all the broadcasts seem to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard Colston Loveland for the Bears is a target, but again, I don't know if
I like Loveland more than Warren.
Yeah,
but I'll be honest, Loveland's injury scares me.
Yeah,
not because I don't think he can recover, but because he plays like a guy who's going to get hurt a lot, and his frame, I'm just not sure if he's injured, he's going to have a hard time putting on mass.
Right.
Like that's my thought process with it. He's not going to add the mass as easily. Like it just feels risky to me. But he's the talent. Like he is what I comped his ceiling to George Kittle. Like I love Colston Love.
Right. So, Will Johnson, I don't know if you want to talk about him at all. And I saw a weird tweet, and I don't know if it had any substance behind it. But it said that he had like a degenerative knee issue. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's real. Again, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. It wasn't like Adam Schefter tweeting it, so you just kind of roll your eyes. But like, if you're looking at our tier 3 stick and pick at 10, let's say Warren goes, and then I know Jalen Walker's kind of someone that I've seen that mocked to the Panthers a few times, and then with the Saints, I don't know if that
after the Panthers are trying to trade out.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I don't know if there's anybody for the Bears to jump up to now, like with Jeanty gone. So
just gonna say what up to my buddy Chris in the comments. Bear down,
up, Chris. Welcome to a fun-filled Bears draft. They haven't made any Bears mistakes yet.
the man for basketball.
Oh, nice.
Like he knows the sport through and through. I always ask him about NBA bets. Like he's the man for that.
Is he a Bulls fan?
Yes.
That's unfortunate for him. Yeah.
It was great in the 90s.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, I thought such a frustrating team to watch. Like, all right, so they're announcing the Jets pick. Let's see who they say.
The pick is in. I wish I had a bell, just like to ring.
Oh, Membu. I've seen him mocked there.
Okay. Armand Membu, you are a New York Football Jet. Honestly, he feels like a Jet. Like the offense that he is freaky athletic and explosive. Big.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's weird because, like, didn't they kind of just go through this with Mekhi Becton?
Becton was a riskier, Becton was like 360 or something.
Okay, because like
let's see what Becton was at the combine. Like he was playing close to 400 in college, I think.
Because I remember that was the draft where that was the draft where they
364 at the combine.
Geez.
Like
because they passed on didn't they pass on Tristan Wirfs to take him?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Mekhi Becton has never been bad.
Yeah, he's been hurt
on a football field. He's been hurt a lot, but he's always been good.
Yeah.
But it was always the weight concerns. Membu, I mean, that's not the concern with him. He's light on his feet. He's like 330. I want to say like something like 6'4", 6'4", 6'5".
Okay.
So he's actually a little more stout of a build. Yeah, 6'4", 332. But my thing with him was, I'll just go to the scouting report while we're talking about it, might as well. What was the quote I had in here? I've not seen an athlete who moves 600 pounds as effortlessly as he does. His ability to transfer force efficiently is as good as I've ever seen from an offensive lineman. That was Mizzou's strength and conditioning coach.
No bias.
But for me, I mean, the traits are all there.
Yeah.
He's really quick on his feet, especially at 330, loose hips, plays long, always keeping those arms extended with a real anchor. He has some of that natural leverage for an offensive tackle at 6'5". And when he wants to, he has really good power to move people. But I thought he was robotic at times, and inconsistent was really the thing that got me with him, especially when it came to his demeanor.
Gotcha.
I thought he was too patient at times. There were times where I'm kind of going like, okay, either you don't understand your assignment here, you're hesitant as a football player at times, or you're just not trying. One of those three, because
Right.
there were moments where it was just like, I can't explain why he's not doing why he's not going full force on this block unless it's one of those three things.
Right.
And that is a pet peeve for me.
Yeah.
Like I have become so keyed in on motor and effort that like, and maybe that's a negative, but like I get stuck on it. And that's what I got stuck on with Membu, is that's why he was a little lower on my board than consensus. He has all the traits you want. And like my worry with him, like he keeps everything clean. I think he is very similar to Darnell Wright. But like if the effort's all there, if the motor's good, reminds me a lot of Darnell Wright. But he also reminds me a lot of Jermaine Ifedi as a guy who had all those traits but never put it together.
Yeah.
So feels like a Jets pick.
Yeah. Oh my God. One of my favorite things to watch is like the compilation of all the Jets fans reacting to terrible picks they've made. Have you ever seen that? Where it's, I mean, dating back to like the 80s when they're taking like 2 tight ends in the first round and instead of like Warren Sapp or something, and all the fans are just like, what are you doing?
So, like, we're going to take Scott's word on this. He says Tet McMillan went 8th.
Oh, okay.
To the Panthers.
I guess that's a good pick.
Yeah, it makes sense for them. I mean,
it makes sense for them.
They need one. They need a receiver. Because I mean, they took Xavier Legette last year, but I mean, I wouldn't look at his rookie year and say like we're feeling good about this. Like it's like maybe he'll still be something, but you can only rely on Adam Thielen for so long when he's already pushing 35 years old. And Jalen Coker had some decent stuff for them last year as a rookie, but like I don't know if that's a guy that you're really sitting there going, we can count on this guy.
I was gonna say, like, none of those guys have like one wide receiver one potential. Like I feel like Tet McMillan does. So
yeah, they needed a difference maker, and then Tet McMillan is that guy in this class.
Because I liked Legette last year coming out, but I don't know. I watched a lot of cornerbacks go up against him and sort of eat his lunch. So I thought he was capped with what he could do at the end. I mean, he was not awful. I mean, it wasn't awful. He was good, but it's a good pick for them. I heard everything that they were going to go defense. So I guess it's a little shocking there, but
yeah, I mean, I heard plenty about Warren there.
Oh
yeah. I think they could have gone a lot of different ways. So, oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Jets still. For the Panthers, I feel like they were very like. I think Tet was probably my bet there. If I were betting on it, it probably would have been Tet. I remember looking through their roster, being like, they need that. They need a wide receiver.
What'd you think of Bryce Young's second year? Did you think he's gonna?
He showed some life.
Yeah.
I mean, I was never that high on Bryce Young. CJ was my number one quarterback in that class. So like, I mean, I've been.
Do you know if you
celebrating the fruits of that labor for a while? But
I was going to say, I mean, do you know if how you compared Bryce to Cam Ward? I know you said you didn't watch a lot of Cam Ward tape.
So I didn't have a grade for Cam Ward, so no. I would imagine that Bryce would probably have been ahead of him. Let's see. I've kept all my grades here. which are very inconsistent because my first year I used a different grading, like 2023, I used a different grading system than I have the last 2 years. So it's kind of questionable. But let's see, I had Jaden Daniels and Drake May ahead of Bryce Young.
Gotcha.
I probably would have Bryce ahead of Cam Ward, I think, but it's tough to project because I haven't watched a lot of him.
Quarterbacks are just impossible. Like
I don't think I would have liked Bryce or Cam Ward's tape that much because he's so out of structure. Like Caleb was out of structure, but he had enough moments in structure winning that I felt really good about it. I was like, he can do both.
Yeah.
With Cam Ward, I get the vibe that most of his good is out of structure.
Yeah. God, it could be another Anthony Richardson, better passer than Anthony Richardson, but it's like,
I mean, yeah, I think he's. I don't think Anthony Richardson because he has played so much football.
Yeah,
like Cam Ward has seen everything that college football has to
right.
offer, right? Like he has worked his way up from nothing to become something. And I mean, he was, I believe it was like Pat Mahomes' QB coach at Texas Tech, became the head coach at wherever Bryce or wherever Cam Ward went to. At first, I forget where
it was like JUCO, wasn't it? Or
where did Cam Ward start at? It was he ended up at Houston. He played for Incarnate Word. That's right, Incarnate Word in San Antonio.
What a name!
And then just like kept working his way up to Washington State to Miami. Like, where did he get Houston from? I thought he ended up at Houston at some point. I guess not. But yeah, it was just this guy has been through the ringer.
Right.
College football. He went from a no-star recruit to the number 1 overall pick, which is really cool.
Saints. Who do you think the Saints are going to? You think they'd go Warren here?
No. I mean, maybe
they could go Will Johnson. I mean, they really, after Kool-Aid McKinstry, they do not have a lot of secondary help, but I don't know, with an offensive head coach, he might want to come in and
I mean, they need a tackle. They need a lot. They need a lot on the D line.
Dude, I know that's like that team is just.
I mean, I could see them going a corner. I could see them going O-line. I mean, they need a left guard. They need a right tackle because Penning. They just declined Penning's 5th-year option. So, but then I mean, you still have Penning.
That was a weird pick when they made it. That was a reach.
They moved up for him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I could see them doing just about anything here. I wouldn't be shocked by really anybody.
Yeah.
Like, what do they have? They still have Juwan Johnson at tight end. He's 28, turned 29. Like, he's still a good tight end, but not a difference maker by any means. I have to imagine they're still riding Kamara just because they've paid him so much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like O-line or D-line is the way they go here. I mean, Derek Harbin's high on our board, but a bunch of injury stuff has come out since we made this. That's probably pushing him down. Our board's low on Mike Green because Mike Green does not fit the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Green might be a real fit in New Orleans,
Yeah.
Or maybe they go quarterback.
Well, that's what I've seen Shedeur Sanders mock to them. I don't know. I mean, after them though, if that was the case, I'd imagine people would be they'd be trying to trade back, but I know it takes 2 to tango. So
yeah, that it does.
That it does. I know from experience.
No. All right. Scott says Kelvin Banks Jr. is a New Orleans Saint.
There's
a lot of Bears fans celebrating right now, and there's a handful who are upset.
That's an interesting. I wonder what the thought process is. I mean, I guess they just think he's the safest tackle.
He can. I mean, so Fuaga was a right tackle in college, right? Like he played left tackle fine last year. I still think he's best off at guard, but I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy on the internet.
Yeah. Oh, but Riley Ramczyk just retired.
Yeah, Ramczyk retired. You have Penning on the right side, who you might need to replace. Fuaga, can go over to the right side. They have Nick Saldiveri at left guard, who's not a real answer there. So Banks gives you guard or tackle ability, left or right side. He's shown he can play either side. So now you basically have two. You're just stacking the O-line talent.
Yeah.
Like I understand that. I get that. I like that for them. Now, if I just want a left tackle, I might go different. But also I don't know what Kellen Moore's run scheme looks like. I tried to analyze it a few years ago, and I just came away with like it's everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah, he tweaks it to the personnel, maybe.
I guess. I mean, I think it's just kind of sloppy, or like not sloppy, but like doesn't have an identity.
Yeah. Well, that's been a complaint of his I know that was like a complaint that followed him around from Dallas to like the Chargers. And I mean, the Eagles had such a loaded roster that it was hard to have a bad, you can't really have a bad running game. But
all right, Nick.
Yes.
Pittsburgh Steelers are calling. They're offering you Watt for the number 10 overall pick.
Oh.
You taking it?
I would.
You would?
I would.
I think quick?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean he's still a game wrecker. Like,
how old is TJ Watt?
Unless he's saying JJ, that could be the bait and switch.
I almost did say JJ, and that's why I paused and just said Watt, because I was like, I can't get it out. I immediately talking.
I didn't realize he was old. I didn't realize he was already 30. Well, counter. What if the Bengals are calling and offering 17 and Trey Hendrickson for number 10? Isn't that what they have?
I'm doing that first because I still get 17.
Yeah,
like that's easy. That is I will do that trade in a heartbeat.
What if they want your 3rd round pick too?
Yeah, take it.
Yeah,
I'm moving back 7 spots and giving a 3rd for Hendrickson. Like,
yeah, I would do that. I think I would do. I mean, because I'm all for any sort of help on either line. I'm all for.
Yeah, I mean, I was higher on Kelvin Banks than a lot of people, but even that, like, I think he's. Let me see where he was on my board. I want to say he was something like 20th on my board.
So the Bears pick is in.
The Bears pick is in. Who do you think it is?
Virginia McCaskey. They're bringing her back.
I can see it.
I would be shocked. I have a feeling it'll be Warren.
I think it's either Warren or Loveland, and I think it's Warren just because of the health issues.
I think people have said it ad nauseum now how much Johnson talks about weapons, and I think there was like an anecdote about how Dennis Allen like sat in and watched Tyler Warren, was like he'd be awful to game plan against, like just the difficulty and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Reading the tea leaves, I feel like
I do think there's a chance it could be Omari and Hampton.
I've heard him. I mean, at this point, do you think any defensive players?
I mean, I love Derek Harmon. I don't know what the injury issues are, but I love Derek Harmon.
Yeah,
I'm here for that.
Jalen Walker, I saw him mocked a little higher than this, so I mean, I don't know if.
Yeah, I mean, he's supposedly teams see him as a blue chip, so I bet that could be a lot of noise too. It's so hard to parse it this year. I'm higher than some of our other scouts on Walter Nolan. I wouldn't be blown away if this was Walter Nolan. He's lower on our board overall, but he's on my board. I want to say he's top 20. And Banks was 16 on my board, so that was a little higher than where I had him, but like within range. Let's see. Okay, yeah, Walter Nolan is 12 on my board, so like that's within range in my mind. But the pick is in.
Would you be shocked if it's Loveland here?
It's Loveland, according to Scott.
Oh,
I'm
happy.
Think of that? I'm happy.
You like that?
Loveland makes me nervous, but give me that upside, man.
Yeah.
Like, we're picking at 10. Give me the upside. I like that we didn't trade up for anything. If this were Warren, I would have been more like a little like underwhelmed with it. Right. But with Loveland, it's like that's a weapon, right? Yeah. That is a mismatch weapon that Ben Johnson can now use in the offense. I don't love a tight end. Like, I don't love a guy who's going to be limited to 40% of your snaps.
Yeah.
And who tight ends tend to come along slowly. it wouldn't shock me if Loveland wasn't very good as a rookie, right? Like,
Right.
I don't think that would be a weird thing to say for a rookie tight end because rookie tight ends tend to suck. But
Right.
I like the future of Loveland. I am curious how much longer Cole Kmet's on this roster now, though.
I was gonna say, man, that'll be interesting. I mean, do you see them using Loveland like Las Vegas uses Brock Bowers? Like, because Brock Bowers is a tight end by name, but I mean, he's catching 120 passes, or he's like, because I mean, Cole Kmet is very much more the inline, sort of built like the inline blocking tight end. And I honestly have not watched a ton of Colson Loveland. I've seen the highlights, but I don't know if his weaknesses are, here we go.
He doesn't have a lot of loud weaknesses,
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, he's long, springy frame, explosive athleticism, really impressive contact balance, loose hips as a route runner that flip quickly through routes. He can make people miss in space as a ball carrier. And I think he's got a moldable frame. I mean, he was listed at 245.
Right.
But we're talking about a guy who's 20 or just
Say,
turned 21.
Yeah.
He has the frame, I think, to add more mass and get up to like 255, maybe even pushing up to 260 and become an inline tight end because he's a violent blocker.
Right.
He craves contact. He wants to get into the defender and put them in the dirt, which is huge to me for a tight end. Like I love to see that. My lad has that dog in him. There is one guy in this this early part of the draft that I turned on the tape and I went, dog.
Right.
It's Colson Loveland.
Yeah.
This dude is a dog. He is gonna fight tooth and nail. The negatives, I had underweight. He's a little thin and wiry, but again, I think that he can change that. Hyper aggressive. He's too eager to lunge into defenders as a blocker and gets off balance. And I think that this is where injuries come into play.
Mm-hmm.
He throws his body around like he's a rag doll. Like he just chucks himself into people.
Gotcha.
I think that might lead to some injuries, and I think that might be something that led to his shoulder injury. A little bit limited on the route tree. I didn't think he did anything that different, and there were some occasional lapses in his awareness, like focus drops and kind of just some moments where you're like, "What are you doing here, guy?" But again, he's 20 years old this year, just turned 21. Like I think that's all the negatives with him. I see as things that you can shape and mold and fix, aside from the injury question.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited about the guy.
I got to do more research on him. I mean, admittedly, I'm not as well versed on him. These last couple of days, or I guess even weeks, I know he's kind of like jumped to the forefront. So, I see some Lions fans cheering in the crowd, which is hilarious, like because they're all Michigan.
So Sonny said in our draft he did draft Loveland in this spot. So confirmed, Sonny is not a real person. He is Ryan Poles.
There you go.
And then Scott says Loveland sounds like Braxton Jones helps since Banks and Campbell are already gone.
That is,
I mean, I don't know. I think Cole Kmet's the Braxton Jones help. I don't see Loveland playing in line a whole lot this year.
I was gonna say it is that thing where like the Bears have like looked for this guy to complement Cole Kmet for years, because it was Gerald Everett last year. It was Robert Tonyan. They've brought in these dudes to kind of like try to supplement what Cole Kmet does, and none of them have done anything. So I mean I'm down for offensive help. I'm glad they didn't trade up. I think a lot of Bears fans are probably freaking out with Tyler Warren on the board, because I think he's just been the guy that everybody's, he's like the name guy. So I'm sure once they watch more film of Loveland, like they'll fall in love with him. But
dude, he's a dog.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was not hoping for a tight end here, but if it was tight end, I wanted Colson Loveland.
Okay, that's pretty high praise. Like, I wonder. I mean, do you feel like this is all? Do you think they're done tonight? Do you think they might trade back into the first?
I think there's an outside chance.
Yeah,
I think there's an outside chance if the right running back is falling, if the right offensive lineman is falling, you could see them try to move up from 39. But all in all, I mean, I don't know. Generally, I wouldn't expect them to move back up, but if the right guy is fallen, and by the right guy, I mean Omari and Hampton. I mean, Josh Connerly, maybe. I think that's about it. Like Josh Connerly and Omari and Hampton are the only guys I would
Yeah.
really be looking at a trade up for. If they think Mukuba, if they're as high on Mukuba as we are,
Oh, dude,
I
yeah.
think Mukuba's in the conversation there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. No one else seems to be that high on Mukuba, so like I don't know what to think there.
They're missing out. No,
Yeah.
I've seen people talk about him as a third rounder, which I think I'd be shocked if he lasted that long. But yeah, so I wonder now, so San Francisco, I wonder, do you have any thoughts on what they might do? Or
I could see Walter Nolan here. I could see any of the D tackles. They need D line help. I could see an edge. I could see Mike Green.
Jalen
Or
Walker.
Jalen Walker.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't is Robert Saleh creative enough to use Jalen Walker?
I don't know. Who they lost? Who just retired? Was it Dre Greenlaw that retired? Or
Did he retire?
or I can't remember. Something happened.
Well, he ruptured the Achilles in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Right.
And then he got back last year, and he might have gotten hurt again after that. I don't recall if he did or not.
Oh, he's with the Broncos now. That's right. They lost him, but he didn't retire. He just went to signed with the Broncos, I guess. Oh.
Jay is blown away by this pick. I don't exactly know why, but he's blown away by it. Jay's my buddy. Yeah, Colson Loveland. I mean, it makes sense. I don't love it. It's not my first. I don't love a tight end here, but if you're taking a tight end, I'm glad it's Loveland, not Warren.
Yeah, it's I just saw a blurb. Greg Gabriel. Oh God, Greg Gabriel tweeted out that he won't participate in OTAs. He's coming off shoulder surgery, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's just
He's
one of those
supposed to be
things.
ready by camp,
Right?
but yeah, I mean that was the concern with Loveland. It's
Yeah.
like he's coming off a surgery, like a labrum reconstruction. I think, I believe I saw that today. But yeah, there is a concern there about the injury and the ability to avoid injuries going forward. But he's a dog.
I mean, Jalen Johnson had shoulder injuries, and he's been pretty decent since.
Well, and he's continued to have shoulder injuries.
Yeah.
Shoulder injuries tend to stick around.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
it's a complicated joint right there.
It is. Tight ends don't need it, right? They don't. But
so my blurb on Loveland here: Colson Loveland loves football. I have zero doubts about that. He relishes contact and dreams about putting opponents in the dirt. Scheme fit, I called him a versatile move tight end with potential to add mass and become a true Y. His comp, I had his ceiling at George Kittle and his floor at Tyler Eifert.
Oh wow.
Let's think about Tyler Eifert here for a minute. Eifert was highly drafted. He was a generational tight end.
At Notre Dame,
6'6", 255. Decent rookie year. Couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah, so he got hurt a lot.
Decent third year. Made a Pro Bowl. Couldn't stay healthy. Couldn't stay healthy again. Couldn't stay healthy again. Then 2 more okay years, and he retires out of the league in 8 years.
Yeah.
You want more than this from your number 10 overall pick.
Yes.
That's why he's the floor.
Because
like the guy loves football. He's gonna figure out how to play well in the league. But if health becomes a concern, it becomes a big concern for him in my mind.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what Tyler Eifert's injuries like. I mean, I don't remember. I can't remember if it was more nagging stuff that.
Let's see. Let's see if we can find one of these. Yes, it's here. Draft Sharks is great for this stuff.
One, his durability.
Shoulder, unspecified. Or let's go back to the oldest one. Shoulder, labrum tear. What
Oh,
Colston Loveland's coming back from. Elbow tear, neck stinger, head cranial concussion, pedal ankle ligament, back vertebral bruise, back lower lumbar strain, back vertebral disc, knee strain, pedal ankle fracture, cervical neck stinger, and then closing it out with another shoulder injury.
jeez.
So, I mean, that's the floor to me. It is
Yeah.
a good tight end who can't stay healthy. The ceiling is a freak of nature tight end who's a
Right.
psychopath. Loveland grew up on a farm and competing in rodeo tournaments in Idaho. He earned all 10 academic all Big Ten honors this year. Yeah, a lot to like with Colston Loveland. Just stay healthy, please.
I think I'm in that same zone you are, where it's like I don't mind that they took him. It's just I was sort of like tight end. It's an interesting. I really Michael Williams went to the 49ers, so good call there.
I'm shocked they went for a guy like Michael over some of the more traditional edge like the more power speed rushers. I would have thought they would want more of the speed guys.
Yeah. Well,
but Nick, do you want to go ahead and take a pause here?
Sure.
And then record a reaction podcast on this.
Yeah,
we'll do it on the same channel. I'll just cut it up and we'll do it out. Okay, let's see. So I'll go ahead and I'll play a fresh intro.
Okay.
And then we will just jump right into the podcast.
Okay.
Just let me write down the time that we did it at, so that I don't have to go search the video for it.
Right, after we do that, is it cool? I might hop off just to help get my kids down for bed. For their bed, and then I may or may not. Depending on how long that takes, I'll hop back on. I don't know. Did you say other people might be coming?
They might not. We'll see. Okay. I just gave them and said hop in if you're available. If not, no big deal. Cool. But yeah, so the way I see it, we will, and for you guys listening, we'll jump in. We're gonna do like a 30-minute podcast, and then we'll call it. But if the Bears trade back up, Nick, are you available to jump back in and
for sure.
Okay. All right, good deal. Then let's go ahead and get this reaction podcast going.
Rock on.
And welcome back, Bears fans. My name is Quentin Crisco. I am joined by Nick DeMeo. The Chicago Bears just drafted. Who did they draft, Nick?
A tight end. The one, but maybe not the one we were all expecting.
Maybe not the one we were all expecting. The one that some of us were hoping for. We're talking about very much on Building the Board, as our friend Sonny Verma put in our chat during the live stream. The guy that he picked, his guy, his number 10 pick, Colston Loveland, out of Michigan. You are a Chicago Bear. Nick, how are you feeling?
I feel pretty good about it. I'm glad they didn't trade up. I'm glad they let the board shake out the way it did. I think, you see what a guy like Sam Laporta did for the Lions offense. Ben Johnson wants to add weapons to his offense. Colston Loveland seems to be a guy who is the total package at tight end, very athletic, very good receiver. So I'm excited to see what Ben Johnson can do. I think he also complements Cole Kmet's game well. They should be a pretty potent duo for the Bears for the next few seasons. So I'm excited. How about you, Q?
I'm feeling good about it, Nick. I've said all week, I really don't want a tight end at 10.
Right.
right? Like it just feels like tight ends tend to come along slowly. They're not an instant add to your offense most of the time. They're a add for 2 years down the road. Sam Laporta was an instant add. So maybe Ben Johnson has that secret sauce, that Michael's secret stuff, Ben's secret stuff, so to say. But it's not like I struggle to count on that. And I wasn't sure I wanted a tight end here. But if it was a tight end, I wanted Colson Loveland because Colson Loveland is a weapon in my eyes. Tyler Warren is much more of the inline tight end that you already have with Cole Kmet in my mind. Colson Loveland gives you more variety with that. He gives you, like, if you want to throw back to old Patriots days, right? Yeah, Gronk was the big inline, beating people up. Colson and Aaron Hernandez was more of a receiver, right? Like, well, he was a lot of other things.
Don't leave me hanging. Don't leave me hanging.
Yeah. We'll stay away from the extracurriculars, but on the football field, he was a receiver.
Yes.
That's what you get in Colson Loveland. Cole Kmet, you need to become a better blocker because I think you're going to be blocking a lot more when you're in 12 personnel. And I do like the way it opens them up in 12 personnel. But ultimately with Loveland, I feel good about him. I don't feel great about him because the injuries do concern me with him. But we'll get into that a little bit more here as we go. Nick, just off the top of your head, how much do you think Colson Loveland is going to play this year?
Oh, that's a good question. I do think, if this was last year's Bears with Shane Waldron and the Matt Eberflus show, I doubt he would get much playing time because I don't know if they were creative enough to come up with a couple of interesting packages to include him in. I do think, you can look at how they use Roma Dunze to, kind of case in point of how they really didn't understand how to use a particular player to their strengths. I do think Ben Johnson has shown with Detroit that he can maximize a player's strengths. And even if it's for limited snaps, he can get the most out of that player. So, I mean, I could see Colson Loveland coming in and being one of these guys who maybe has like 25 catches, but like 7 touchdowns, something crazy like that, where it's, one of these, he's used in the red zone as a big target for Caleb Williams. He's a guy that can go up and get it. He's a guy who can, is a matchup nightmare. Excuse me. Yeah, I do wonder how much he'll be. Excuse me. I'm allergic to the pick. No, like I do wonder, I'm like you. Cole Kmet came along slowly. He had Jimmy Graham ahead of him for a couple of years. So I do think it's one of those picks where you have to practice patience. But, if he develops at the trajectory that I know a lot of our scouts thought, he could really be a truly a weapon. Oh, Hawkins, that's a good comp that I've seen for him as well. If he can come reach his potential, he could be
and I'm looking this up because Hawkinson, I guess he was traded in 22. Okay. I thought Laporta was already there when Hawkinson was traded, but I guess Hawkinson was traded the year before Laporta got there. Okay. So that throws my thought process out the window. I was thinking that, maybe it'll be a similar progression,
right,
to what you saw with Laporta and Hawkinson, but probably not because Laporta was the guy in Detroit when he got drafted. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the player profile here, and I'm going to pull up our scouting report. And we did this a little bit on the live stream already, but we're going to go through it again for the podcast. Colson Loveland, tight end out of Michigan, ideal NFL position. I said he's a move tight end, so that means, like, Nick, you know this, but I'm going to explain it anyways. In the NFL, in football in general, you tend to have a Y tight end, which is the guy who is in line. He is on the line of scrimmage. This guy needs to be a good run blocker or a capable run blocker. At least. Pass blocking, I mean, honestly, I don't even care about tight ends pass blocking that much. It's just you don't ask them to do that much outside of chip. So, like, when I'm talking tight end blocking, especially in line, I'm like, I want to see the run blocking effort. I want a guy who likes contact and is mean and aggressive. That's going to be Cole Kmet. Ben Johnson said when he mentioned Cole Kmet, or it's like, we got to get that blocking up to par. It'll be important.
Yeah.
He will, because Colson Loveland, he is aggressive. He is an angry blocker. He wants to put you in the dirt, but he's 245 pounds.
Right.
And I think he has room to add mass over the next few years and become an inline guy. But right now, Cole Kmet is going to be your inline. Colson Loveland's going to be your move tight end. That's the guy who you see tight ends in motion all the time in the backfield. They might line up in like a fullback spot. They might play a little slot receiver. That's what Colson Loveland is going to be in this offense. I think much more of that movement based guy who you're using as a weapon all over the field, a mismatch weapon. Get him on linebackers. Get him in the post against safeties. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with his size at 6'5" and his movement abilities against linebackers that can be really fun. Now, he's 20 years old or 21 years old. He just turned 21. Initially, I had a top 40 draft projection on him. As we got further along, and that was like, I'd only scouted maybe 50 players at that point. As we got along with everything, he became higher and higher on my board. He ended up in the top 15 for me. At least it might have been a little higher than that. Him and Tyler Warren were very closely ranked. I had Colson Loveland slightly above Warren. But looking at his strengths and weaknesses. So on strengths, first thing I got is rare physical traits. This guy's got a long, springy frame, explosive athleticism, and I thought really impressive contact balance. There are some moments where he looks kind of like a baby deer. But I mean, for the most part, when he's running with the football, it's like, okay, this guy can break some tackles. He's not falling down at first contact. I liked what I saw. Fluid athleticism. I thought he had really loose hips for his size as a route runner, and that means he can be deceptive in his route some, right? Like he can sink his hips down. He can change direction fairly smoothly. And a lot of this is for a 6'5", 245-pound guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's really strong for any tight end in the league to be able to move the way that he does. And a moldable frame. He's got some bend to his frame, some good flexibility. But he can also go up and get the football. This guy is a monster at the catch point. He can dunk on people. So you almost get a little bit of X receiver element to him. Slow X receiver because the tight end, the guy ain't going to be running a 4.4 or 4.5, but he's still fast for the tight end. And he had some really impressive dunks in college on people. And a very willing blocker. This guy throws his body around, man. He wants to make you hurt. Like the blurb that I had in him on our draft page here is Colson Loveland loves football. I have zero doubts about that. He relishes contact and dreams of putting opponents in the dirt. This guy has, I think, more fun blocking than he does running routes, which is, you don't find, like, that is a different football player.
And that's like George Kittle, like you said, like George Kittle, like loves like blocking. Like,
the guy just loves to get physical with people and to beat them in football. Last point here, has that dog in him. He has no quit as a receiver or a blocker. He has a fiery play demeanor, and he thoroughly believes he can block anyone in the league. Like, he believes he can block that 340-pound nose tackle. It's inspiring. On the weaknesses, underweight. He's a little thin. He's got a wiry frame. He can get pushed around when he doesn't make that first significant contact. Like, as a blocker, he can jolt people. But if he doesn't jolt you, he's going to get moved. Like, he needs to be explosive into that first contact. He's hyper aggressive. He's too eager to lunge into defenders, throw his, get out over his toes and throw his shoulders into the block, which can get him in trouble at times. Gets off balance, ends up in the dirt. It's not good blocking form. Again, I don't worry about that much with tight end. He's going to have to put on weight to be an inline guy, to be a blocker, but like no tight ends are really good blockers right now. All I care about is demeanor and willingness, and he has those two in spades. Limited route tree. He played at Michigan. Michigan doesn't really throw the football. Like, when they did throw the football, he was really good, but they don't do it a ton. So that he did have a limited route tree. He's going to have to learn to expand that in the NFL. I think he has all the physical capabilities to do it. And the last negative was lapses in awareness. There are occasional issues with focus drops and play awareness can kind of wane in moments, especially during the scramble drill. The comps that I had for him, the ceiling is George Kittle, as you mentioned a little moment ago.
Yeah.
Like he plays the game like George Campbell. The floor is Tyler Eifert, who we talked again a little bit about this on the stream, but we're gonna talk about it again. Tyler Eifert was a very highly drafted guy, right? He went 21 overall to the Bengals back in 2013, 6'6", 255. With Loveland, we're talking, 6'5", 245. So a similar frame. Eifert had a little more weight on him, but Eifert couldn't stay healthy. Loveland is coming in the league pre-injured.
Right.
He just had a labrum restructure surgery back in January, I believe, to completely repair his labrum. Shoulder injuries are complicated. They're not things that tend to go away quickly. Jalen Johnson still has shoulder issues.
Yeah.
He had a shoulder issue coming out of college. Tyler Eifert had a shoulder issue coming out of college. It kept popping up throughout his career. He had a ton of other injuries throughout. He had knee injuries. He had foot injuries. He had back injuries. So it wasn't all the shoulder that kept him out. But like, you look at his profile, his rookie year, he was good. Then couldn't stay on the field his second year. Made a Pro Bowl his third year. Then the next 3 years, he couldn't stay on the field. He played a total of 14 games over the next 3 years before 2 so-so years and retiring, 8 years in the league. That's the floor for Loveland in my mind. The only thing that keeps this guy from becoming a good football player, as far as I can see, is injuries. Yeah. But his play style and his weight do make me wonder if injuries might be a louder concern for this player. Nick, what do you think of all that?
Yeah, I mean, he does. You watch him, and he has a very long, lanky frame. So it is noticeable on film. Like some guys you see, and maybe they wear the weight better, or he looks lanky, but he's, like you said, I think he can put on weight. Kind of also reminds me of I don't know if you remember Jermichael Finley with the Packers. He was another really tall kind of, and I think he had more concussion injuries that forced him now to retire. But yeah, it's never good when you're drafting damaged goods, which, I mean, I don't want to call the guy damaged goods, but he is coming into the league injured. So you just kind of have to hope maybe it was a one-off thing. Do you know, was his injury a result of, the labrum that can occur from just wear and tear, or was it contact? Like, did he fall on his shoulder and injure it, or I don't know.
I believe it can be something as simple as, like, you've had some damage there already, and you land and plant your arm the wrong way. Yeah, that's my understanding. My dad actually just tore his labrum, but he, we're comparing a 20-year-old to a guy in his 50s. It's a different aspect.
Yeah, my sister tore hers, but I know she played volleyball pretty competitively, so it was a wear and tear from just the motion over and over. And I guess it's not something that, Drew Brees tore his labrum before he went and signed with the Saints. Then he put together a Hall of Fame career in New Orleans. Yeah. So it's not something that, I think anytime it's an injury, you kind of have concerns. But there was this draft had quite a few players who I think, there's a lot of guys that had injury. Josh Simmons was a tackle you and I had talked about that maybe the Bears are looking at, and his was a lot more significant of an injury. But yeah, I like the pick. Like I said, I'm glad they didn't trade up to draft Jeanty. I'm glad they stayed where they did. They didn't give up any resources to move around. And they still have their 2 second-round picks, depending on what they do the rest of the evening. So, you're putting all your eggs in Ben Johnson's basket and kind of hoping but when Matt Nagy came in, one of the first guys he signed was Trey Burton, which was, he was that move tight end for Matt Nagy. And he put up, I think his first year before he tore his groin, it was like an 800 some yard. You could tell how important he was to the offense. Ben Johnson, a lot of his influence comes from Sean Payton. You saw what they did with Jimmy Graham for years, and how pivotal he was to making that New Orleans offense hum. So the logic tracks, like I said, it's rich for a tight end, but it's also guys like him if they reach their ceiling, you're not going to find them in free agency. Like George Kittle is not going to hit free agent. That's a guy that these are guys that you kind of have to draft. Travis Kelce is a guy, he's getting older, so he's less of the move tight end, but you have to find these guys in the draft. And, you're hoping he can skirt the injury issue, put on some weight, get a little bit stronger play strength, and, have a long productive career. If this was, like I said, if this was last year's team drafting, I had no faith in them developing, seeing after how they kind of criminally underused Roma Dunze. With Ben Johnson, I do think the proof is in the pudding. So you kind of just, you look at the potential of what he could become under Ben Johnson. And I do think it could be, a match made in heaven for the long term.
Yeah, I'm absolutely excited about the potential of what this offense looks like with a really strong 12 personnel.
Yeah, because
some of that. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, sorry to cut you off. You think about how the Bears really, outside of that, out of Oz, the guy they don't really have someone that can play slot or it's a position where you could see Loveland getting a decent bit of snaps, and manning that slot position because they didn't re-sign Keenan Allen, and Rome and DJ are your two outside boundary receivers, so it's a spot that you could see Loveland doing some damage in. I think the fit's good. Like I said, it's just the injury concerns are going to be a red flag, but who knows? If he didn't have injury concerns, he could be one of these tight ends that they're talking about as a top 5 pick. So I think, getting him at 10 and hoping that he doesn't have any further injuries is a good gamble.
Yeah. Something just dawned on me as you're saying that. And I want to see if I can find some measurables on a guy whose name is Marquez Colston.
Oh my gosh, I remember. Yeah.
Marquez Colston made his career as a power slot for Sean Payton's offense.
Yes. Yeah.
Ben Johnson draws a lot from Sean Payton.
Mm-hmm.
I think Colston Loveland in the slot makes a lot of sense. Or Colston Loveland in a Marquez Colston, the Colston aspect.
Just
threw me off.
But
in that it playing kind of some similar role there could make a lot of sense. I mean, I don't think Colston Loveland's running a 4.5.
Right.
4.5 isn't fast either. Like it's Marquez Colston didn't make his career being a freak athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He made his career off size. And I wonder if you're going to see some similar aspects to the way that they deploy Colston Loveland to the way that Marquez Colston was deployed in New Orleans all those years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a good pull because Marcus Colston, I'm trying to look back at what they had. Detroit didn't really have a power slot, but
they had Amon Ra, who
I was gonna say,
you're
not gonna mess with that. I do think fans are probably struggling with reconciling taking Loveland over Tyler Warren, and I do think it was very much more of a fit type situation, and I just think I think Tyler Warren could have a really good career. I wonder, I think the ceiling with Loveland is just so much higher from the pure raw athleticism. And, you're not that Warren's a subpar athlete, but like you said, I look at Warren as kind of like a slightly better version of Cole Kmet. Like, as far as like their
Dallas Goedert was my comp for him.
Okay. Yeah.
Dallas Goedert's good.
Yeah.
He's not George Kittle.
Right.
Right. And not say Colston Loveland is George Kittle, but like I think that is the ceiling with him. Whereas I think the ceiling for Warren is very similar to Goddard.
Yeah, it's there's a reason, not to bring it back to fantasy football, but anyone that's played fantasy football knows it's a wasteland when it comes to tight ends, and it's because there's only a few that can do what a guy like Colston Loveland, if he reaches his ceiling, can do. Kyle Pitts was probably the last guy drafted really high who I think was supposed to have this impact. And I think you could make a case that his shortcomings in the NFL have a lot to do with this, the misuse of him during Arthur Smith's tenure, and they're still kind of trying to figure out how to use him. I think
well, and also he had a pedal foot injury that
right.
He's never really been the same since. Like his burst has never looked the same since that injury.
Yeah. See, I mean, that's a good point, because it's a shoulder injury, but I do, if he's going to get injured, I'd prefer that over, we were looking up Eifert, and he had so many broken ankle or, lower leg injuries.
He had pedal foot. He had multiple pedal foot issues.
And a shoulder is unfortunate, but it doesn't cause as much concern as if you were like, oh, he, broke his ankle and missed 6 games, but he's hopefully coming back, because I think we've seen in Chicago plenty of times guys who have, had that issue where they've messed up something in their lower leg, and then it just takes out any burst that they might have had. And not that I think Loveland is a guy that has to rely solely on his athleticism, but it is definitely one of the reasons the Bears drafted him, because he's a pure weapon. So
yeah,
I'll be interested how they use him. I think, I've been pounding the table for a while for them to get, they've tried to address the second tight end spot for so long, and it's just been one failure after another. When you consider Gerald Everett, Robert Tonyan, gosh, I mean, they've not had 2 decent tight ends probably since Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet, and that was only because Jimmy Graham was getting 10 touchdowns in the red zone only. But I think it's interesting. I mean, I'll never really complain about surrounding Caleb Williams with as many weapons as possible. So, you can argue about whether you prefer Warren over Loveland, which I know hordes of Bears fans are doing right now, but I think at the end of the day, you got a weapon, and that's what you have to hang your hat on, and hope Ben Johnson is half as good as he looked in Detroit, because that's still a really good offensive coach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pumped about it. I opened the show saying I would feel a little underwhelmed with Warren, and I don't feel that way with Loveland. I feel energized by the pick of Loveland, even though I wasn't hoping for a tight end here. With Jeanty gone, I think this was kind of the way. I really do.
So what do you think Cole Kmet's future looks like in Chicago? Do you think this is a long-term pairing, or do you think this is a changing of the guard type, prepping that for maybe not this year, but next year they're going to move on? Because they just signed the guy from Miami. I can't remember his name.
All you folks out there, make sure you use Over the Cap rather than Spot Track. Over the Cap is much more accurate. But let's see. So, I mean, the Bears can move on from Kmet next year.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be shocked if they tried to move him for a 2nd-round pick, if they can.
This year?
Next offseason.
Right.
If Loveland comes back from the injury, looks good, plays well, and shows the ability to add mass.
Right.
If one of those things doesn't happen, you might hang on to Cole Kmet long term.
It's good insurance. I mean, he's great insurance. They just signed the guy out of Miami. He was like specifically a run blocking tight end.
Yeah, Durham Smythe.
That's right, Smythe. It'll be. I really like the idea of 2 good tight ends. I certainly don't want them to move on from Kmet. I wonder what the long-term thinking is with this, with this move. If this is a, is this a precursor to them maybe considering next year moving on from him, or are they just kind of playing it by ear and seeing how the 2 coexist and then going from there?
Nick, is Cole Kmet still doing a podcast mid-season this year?
For CHGO? Yeah. I don't know. That's going to be that'll be interesting. Like,
if I were Ben Johnson, the first thing I would have said when I walked in the Bears locker, not first thing, but like, I would have made it clear, we're getting rid of these fucking podcasts.
Oh my God. I would have, it's such an insane, because nothing is ever, it just, nothing good comes of it because they never really say anything of any sort of substance, and it just seems like it serves nothing more than a distraction. And I'm just like, I'm the same way. I'd have been like, dude, you guys were 5-12 last year. Like, cut out the extraneous stuff. We're just going to focus on football. And that is one
I'm
thing.
not just saying that because we're direct competitors.
No, not at all. No,
who are hopelessly undermanned.
No,
with
it's,
them.
I mean, trust me, I'm all for like Lance Briggs, even Olin Kreutz, Alex Brown, these former players that get on there. And I think it's such a weird, when they get the players that come in that are currently playing, it just seems you're never getting any new nuggets of information. And it just seems, it almost seems like an obligation they have to fulfill. So it's like, I don't know why they bother with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I mean, I do like that they're filling, this is a big draft pick in the sense of they're getting a guy that loves football. They're getting a guy with a high motor, lots of tenacity. You and I talked about this numerous times when we're scouting, that we just love when we find someone that you can just tell on tape is because those guys, I feel like the floor with them is so much higher. I mean,
it's just injuries.
Yeah.
We find those guys.
Yeah. And it's
injuries and athletic limitations, but like,
yeah,
if they don't have athletic limitations, it's just injuries.
It is. And it's you just identify those guys. And yeah, so long as they're, I mean, look at Jack Sanborn. Like, I don't think, I mean, I know he moved on to the Cowboys and he didn't really have a spot on the Bears, but that's an undrafted free agent who every time he played, I felt like he was, you could tell there was athletic limitations, but you would tell this is just a football player. Like, and he's probably going to stick around in the NFL for 10 years in some form or fashion because those guys just latch on. And, I think with Colson Loveland, you get a guy that both loves football and has the athletic traits, then, you are talking about guys like George Kittle. And that those are unicorns. So yeah, you hope for the development. You hope Ben Johnson. I just saw a tweet that when Ben Johnson met Colson Loveland, he told him he reminded him of Sam Laporta. So it's obvious they identified him early as someone that was, this could be an integral part of the offense. So let's make sure we get him. And if that's the case, I'm glad they rested on their laurels, didn't trade up and just kind of let him come to them. So
Nick, I'm excited. We've got 2 more picks or 3 more picks tomorrow. Thank God they didn't move up and get rid of one of those picks.
Exactly.
But, any final thoughts before we close this thing out, Nick?
No, I'll be curious who's available, who is available. I think there's been a few surprises already thus far in the draft. See, I'll be interested to see how the board shakes out because the reason I wanted them to keep those 2 picks were I think there's going to be a lot of talent available that maybe fans didn't anticipate being available in the second round. So it'll be interesting who gets drafted tonight and who's still available for the Pickens tomorrow.
For the Zach Pickens.
Yes. George Pickens.
Yeah. For Worm Boy.
Yeah, exactly.
But thank you guys so much for watching with us, listening with us. We have Scott asking, did the Bears trade back into the first round? I think they might. I mean, if they do, we'll jump back on with you guys. Yeah. But thank you guys for listening, watching. I'm going to go upload this thing as a podcast right now so you guys have it ready to go tonight. And we will see you guys next time.
See you later.